so many players feel that if they can turn more, they're going to be able to get a lot more power in the swing. A big turn equates to distance. Maybe, but maybe not. Generally, the sacrifices that you're making with control and balance, and also sequence of movement, which leads to contact errors or problems with contact, problems with directional control, are not worth the effort of trying to turn more. And of course, there's a lot of golfers that actually overturn without even knowing it. So we're going to have a look at what happens with the lower body and the lower body when it overturns, both what happens in the backswing if it overturns and also the downswing. So the key things in my golf swing, I want to be able to retain good balance. I want to be able to develop some body torque, and particularly I want to be able to sequence my movement well. So in the backswing, if I swing back and turn my hips too far, then it's likely to result in my upper body also rotating too far and probably the club swinging back too far as well. In the downswing, if I'm looking to develop speed coming back into the ball, and of course that's going to be relative from player to player, different players are going to develop different amounts of club head speed, but you still want to be able to optimize whatever it is that you're able to do without the need for putting in massive amounts of effort. Now, if I've swung back too far in the backswing, I've got to expend some energy to start the club down correctly, to get it moving. And often that results in my arms doing a lot of the work too early and then getting out of form. So what we need to do is have a look and get some references for how the lower body should work in the backswing as far as range of movement so that we don't overturn. So if we start with the knees in the backswing, when I swing the club back away from the ball, at the top of the backswing, my left knee is moved in a little bit. Now, a couple of things to check here, or a couple of references. One is my left leg pretty much looks like it's vertical here. My left knee, when I get to the top of the swing, is sort of pointing in just inside my shoe here. If I swing the club back and I just lift the leg or lift my foot for the sake of lifting it, or bring my knee in as far as I can, then I'm going to have shifted too much pressure and just compromise my balance as I go back. When I turn my hips back, generally a player is going to turn their hips somewhere around about 40 to 45 degrees. Depending on the range of mobility through the spine, that might get up to around about 50 degrees, particularly for an older player who doesn't have the mobility. They might need to turn a little bit more. So one way of referencing how much my hips are turning is if I put an alignment rod, say, through my belt loops here, if I can fit it through, that gives me a nice visual reference for how far back the club is swinging. So when I set myself up, my hips are square here. Now, one of the other things that I can do is put a club on the ground at about 45 degrees. And when I swing the club back, I can see that at this point here, that alignment rod is parallel to this club on the ground here. It's not covering it by my line of sight, but I can see that it's parallel to it. If I turn back and I can see that now the rod's turned a lot more than what my club is, then I know that I've overturned. Now, if you want to adjust that and you're only looking to have your hips turn around about 40 degrees, which is generally pretty good, then I would alter that and reduce that to about 40 degrees. And again, when I turn back, am I turning parallel to that? And you can see here that my hips have turned less. And even watching from down the line there, you can see that the alignment rod and my hips have turned a lot less than what they were before. And so you can also see that my knee movement and my hip movement sort of match each other. I won't have an excessive amount of leg movement with only a small amount of hip turn. So you can monitor that movement either with hips or with your lower body, with your legs. In the downswing, as the club swings through, a lot of players will think if I turn my hips quickly and a lot, then I'm also going to be able to develop a lot of power. Now, in terms of sequencing, if we just think for the moment, don't worry about the arms and club, but if we just think of upper body and lower body, as the club swings down, my upper body is eventually going to catch up to my lower body. So my lower body might lead the downswing, but it's starting the downswing movement almost simultaneously with my upper body. We're talking millisecond differences. It's significant, but they're almost the same. And then as the club starts to swing down, my upper body is now catching up to my lower body, and it's caught up here. So now if I do that with a golf club in my hand, so you can see the timing of it with arms and hands, I get back to the top of the swing. As the club's swinging down, my upper body is now catching up to my lower body, and either just after impact, generally around about here somewhere, my upper body has caught up. If I overturn my hips, not only is my upper body out of position, but I also lose the ability to sequence that movement correctly. So if I've got, say, an alignment rod and the club here, so when I set myself up from down the line there, you can see that everything is parallel. Go back to the top of the swing, and probably from front on this is going to be easy. You can see that my upper body is turned roughly double what my lower body has. In the downswing, my upper body is now catching up. I'm post-impact now, and that's when my upper body is caught up. If I get my hips turning too much too soon, my upper body is going to move quite differently. And again, from down the line there, you can see that I'm a long way from having those two things lined up. Now, if that feeling of turn means that you've got to swing the club back a shorter distance, that's quite okay, because it's more that if you create the correct form, the correct body torque, then it's going to help you with your control, the quality of your strike, and so you're going to hit the ball further anyway. So if I make a swing here, not too much turn, either direction, and good control of the movement. So I've allowed my upper body to catch up with my lower body. I haven't had excessive amount of movement which has compromised my ability to do that. Now, if that means for you videoing your swing and seeing that you have to move less, then you'll probably find that doing that is going to give you a lot better control of your shots.